Hey everybody, windy afternoon. I'm going to step out of the wind. I think I'm going to add a new time if I can get my pivotal set up. We'll call it the shit show while I'm cleaning stalls, because that seems to occupy a lot of time lately. Cleaning the stalls, spread and conquer, but we're divided. My wife's busy helping out with the rental property and getting it painted. Had a handyman to help, Paul Schweck. Thank you for your help. But their time gets expensive, so after a few $1,000s for the week, I think we're gonna take most of it over ourselves and try to save some of that money. But I wanted to go on with another Ray story. Again, kind of, Ray is a horse I've had. She's 30 now, and I had a mentor, Ray Hunt. Haven't shared many Ray Hunt stories, but I hope to get to some. And Ray Harmon, and this horse Ray. And so Ray was a pretty big part of my life in one way or another, depending on which Ray. All very blessed to have had either one of them. But we talked last time about my horse bucking me off in between the fence, staring at my border collie, Allie, and had that time off. And I remember at the time I was living in a bunkhouse and had a bedroll. And trying to get out of that bedroll, I finally wound up having to go stay at my mom's for a while until I could get a recliner, which would, like, one of those ones with the little handle and it shoots you up out of the chair. So it could kind of push me up, because you don't realize how many stomach muscles it takes to get out of bed. But after I healed up on that, I was riding her, and then I had the swamp at Bucks. There was another time, again, going to check fence or fixing fence. Well, obviously the fence was fixed in this pasture. Maybe we were going to check yearlings. I can't remember. But I went to get, and he had a horse gate up on the top of this hill, and my horse just reached over. And if I hadn't had enough Rex in her, zapped her nose. I think it's the gate going into the pasture where the swamp is, if I'm not mistaken. And she zapped her nose, and I mean, it zapped her, and she broke into bucking. And that was one of those ones. I was getting better, because when she finally bucked me off, I landed square on my 2 feet. So that one I felt pretty cool. Actually, didn't hurt too bad, and woohoo, I'm getting better at this. But continued to ride her, went on with the day, and as time went on, she could buck. And I mean, I was about 50% of the rides whether she would buck me off with this start or I would ride her. And I don't know if I was getting better for sure, because it was getting to be a chore where through my head it was like, I don't know if I don't really want to ride her today. So it'd be really easy to reach for another horse that I had, Rip. Not many of you know Rip. Those of you that even know me, he's old. He's back in the Ray Harmon days. But Rip was cool, and I'll try to share some stories on him, but down the road. I got him when I was with Ray Harmon, but I'd grab Rip for most of my deals, and he was my steady Eddie, and I had him in the 2-rein. He was my very first bridle horse. So I'd just pick him on a lot of days. And finally, as I found myself not riding so much, I started to make it a point, kind of like working out. The hardest thing to do is get to the gym. And I thought, I'm just going to work her whether I get on or not, but I'm going to saddle her and work her for at least 15 minutes a day. But I'm going to try to just have it easy. I'm going to stay within the realm to keep it easy, because she was pretty handy and she'd turn around pretty good, and so it was easy to reach for that stuff. But I had to just get to where I simply upped the averages, because it wasn't 50% whether she'd buck, it was 50% whether I'd get bucked off or not. Most of the time, I got pretty good at hitting the ground, landing on my feet. But some of that was because I was less interested in riding her. So I had to get her to where I kept things easy enough and out of trouble. And I would just kind of go back to those basics and, one rein stops, walk some serpentines. And I think I forgot to add, that time I got bucked off, I didn't want to quit her. That old cowboy adage, you got to get right back on. I don't necessarily agree with that, because I don't think I did much, but I got back on and I kind of walked a circle to the right and I walked a circle to the left, and that's enough. That's all I could handle. But before I unsaddled her and drove her back to the pen. But that was something to do, like I said, not to get her in trouble, because when my ribs were broke, there's no way I could handle it, I don't think. So as I rode those, and I just started to work on the basics again, pretty soon my averages went up, and more I would ride her. And then since I kind of adopted that mantra, I don't think she bucked me off till years later. And yeah, it was kind of my dumb. I remember I was in Illinois. It was during a clinic, and this gal had a really nice cutting horse. I really liked the horse. But some of the cattle kept kind of getting by. So this mare had gobs of presence. She wasn't the greatest bucking horse either, but she was good enough for me. As my friend says, it takes a pretty good horse to buck me off. It just doesn't take her very long. Anyways, I thought I'd crack Ray out, so I saddled her up. When I went to work cows, and about the second turn, she whipped back, and just stood straight up on her hind legs and started bucking and went straight up again. And she felt like she was losing her feet, so I wouldn't say she bucked me off, really, I guess. But I jumped off because it felt like she could come over, so I kind of bailed off and scrambled out of the way. And wasn't really the thing I wanted to do to show off, but yeah, then I got back up and I just did some groundwork with her and went back to working. And yeah, I was trying to be the cool kid. Of course, I'm the teacher, so you want to show some things and teach some things. I just didn't get to teach the thing that I wanted most. But I think it was the thing that they needed most, because they were all like, man, you're the first person coming from that. They all kind of come from that cutting world, or most of them. You're the first person I haven't seen get after and chastise and sort of rough handle that horse for getting bucked off. And yeah, there should be no ego in it. It was my mistake. I hadn't freed her up. That was the biggest thing, is I got on her cold, and it was a big move, and she was still touchy and young, and I should have done my groundwork and warmed her up. Even if I had gotten on and warmed her up, would have been okay, but I needed to do something to get her ready. And I had a little bit of things to work because of that, but I think that was the last time that I remember, and I don't know how long ago that was, but it was before Davina, so it was over 12 years ago. And Christine was with me, so not so long before that. But anyways, those are some of the latest stories of Ray. And yeah, years later, kind of wrap up Ray before I go on to another horse, is I had a guest riding Ray at the clinic, and Buck asked me, he's like, whatever happened to that Patty Kelly mare? And I'm like, yeah, that's her. He's like, I thought that might be. And he's like, I never thought you'd get through that spot. And I thought, well, gee, thanks. I mean, you said this stuff would work on every horse, so does that mean? He's like, then he stopped the clinic, and he's like, I don't mean that bad skills on Paul. He's like, I thought that spot was so deep in her, she'd never get it out. You guys better pray you never see another horse as touchy as she is. And that was probably one of the best compliments Buck's ever given me. Because I worked through it. And I worked through it. And again, it's that little by little, prayer by prayer, step by step. Life gets better. So take that time to take those little steps. But while you're doing them, enjoy the journey. Thanks for watching. If you would, thank you for commenting on the other videos. I just encourage you to comment. It helps other people to see this. If you're new to this channel, hit me up. Ask me questions, whatever you want. I love your questions. I love you people. I do this to help you guys out. But hope you guys enjoy the journey. Happy trails. Catch you on the next one.